Hello, hello. Welcome back to another one of TLC's wonderful, beautiful tier list. This time, going to be reviewing, I think this is the fifth, sixth um, subclass here, class here. A class that I got mixed feelings of. And maybe that will become visible when we get into the subclasses and maybe explain why some of them are where they are. But we're going to give it a shot here today. We're going to see kind of where the monk subclasses end up kind of turning out into. So let's go ahead and get right on into it here. Tier list. All right, I always start these off by always explaining why I end up putting them where I put them. All right, first off, we got my F tiers. All right, F tier equals unplayable. No, that does not mean that this class is so god awful that you physically cannot play it. It is more of like, hey, if you are anything like me, if you are someone who is a little bit of a power gamer, a little bit of a min-maxer, someone who says, hey, I want to be a front line, melee person, melee class, then any subclass that is an F tier will not give you what you are looking for. All right, there are so many better options that you are physically, you will physically be upset as you are going through your game if you end up picking this subclass, I promise. D tier means it is situational at best. So there might come a time when it is maybe beneficial to have picked it, but it is going to be so sporadic and so few and far between, you are better picking something different. C tier means mediocre, but perhaps there are some possibilities. If something is C tier for me, that means that, hey, if you pick it, there might be some possibilities. If you really know what, type of campaign you're playing, then maybe there is hope for this class, for these subclasses. But again, you're going to be mediocre for most of it. B tier means not bad, but there are just simply better choices. So maybe there's still a couple of abilities in there that are a little too sporadic, a little too situational, or maybe there's just, it's just missing something that could have really pushed it over the edge. Whatever the case, it's not bad. There's just better. A tier, solid choices. You will never be disappointed by picking any of the A tier classes here. I promise any one of them could be great. And then, of course, S tier is, in my humble opinion, the best of the subclasses. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and get right on into it here. Looking at my F tiers, yes, the monk is definitely going to suffer from, having F tiers. Not too many classes do. This one does. And this one sadly has a couple here at my lowest of rankings. So the very first one, and these are in no particular order here, this is just the first of my F tiers, Way of Astral Self. So at third level, you get Arms of the Astral Self. Your Mastery of Ki allows you to summon a portion of your Astral Self. As a bonus action, you spend 1 Ki point to summon the Arms of your Astral Self. When you do so, each creature of your choice within 10 feet must make a dexterity saving throw or will take 2 of your martial dice damage in force damage. For 10 minutes, these spectral arms hover behind you, basically attached at your shoulder or wherever makes sense. You determine the arm's appearance and they vanish early if you are incapacitated or you die. While the spectral arms are present, you gain the following benefits. You can use your wisdom modifier in place of your strength when making strength checks and wisdom and strength saving throws. You can use the spectral arms to make unarmed strikes. When you make an unarmed strike with one of these, your reach for it is 5 feet greater, so it's 10 feet instead of 5. And the unarmed strikes you make with these arms can use your wisdom instead of your strength or dexterity modifier for the attack and damage rolls of their damage type, and their damage type is force. Here's why this sucks. Number one, anyone who has ever played a monk, and if you have not played a monk, all you need to do is go look up a single Reddit post about monks, and you will find out very quickly that the biggest Achilles heel to the entire monk class is its key point system. There's just not enough of them. Too many things are draining on this very small resource pool called key points. This is not like, say, the sorcerer, where, which I would even give the argument that sorcerers, and I'll talk about it when we get to the sorcerer, where, you know, depending on the type of campaign you're playing, you know, you will probably end your days with enough sorcery points that it doesn't really feel like it's draining too much. But there are so many abilities that, you know, in some cases are so expensive to use key points for, that any ability that relies on key points and doesn't really do too much is just not great. And the reason why this one is so worse than some of the others is because you need to spend a key point basically to just be effective. Because if you're going Way of Astral Self, then that means that you probably, your highest stat is probably your wisdom. That's going to be the stat you focused in on, right? So that means that if you go into a combat where you just don't have enough sorcery points because you only have it, in this case, fucking 3, you know, if you use this to go into your Way of Astral Self and then use another one for, you know, for Flurry of Blows, you have 1 key point. 1 left remaining. That's what, you know, this doesn't help you. It just sets you up to not suck. and these little things, the extra 5 feet and the you know, the strength checks and saving throws, you know, being able to use your wisdom modifier, like, how often are you really going to use that? Like, this whole, it's a cool concept, but it falls so short so quickly. And sadly, it doesn't get any better. Visage of Astral Self. When you reach 6th level, you can summon a Visage of your Astral Self as a bonus action, or as part of a bonus action you take to activate your Arms of Astral Self. So basically, hey, I go into my Astral Self form. I can now spend another key point to go into something else. Remember how I told you that you're already starving for key points? Yeah, here, if you're not starving enough, here's another thing you gotta fucking pay for. And for only 10 minutes. It vanishes early if you're incapacitated or you die. The spectral visage covers your face like a helmet or mask. You determine its appearance with the spectral visage present. You gain the following benefits: 1, you can see in normal or magical darkness up to 120 feet. 2, wisdom of the spirit. You have advantage on wisdom and charisma insight intimidation checks. Okay. And word of the spirit. When you speak, you can direct your words to a creature of your choice that you can see within 60 feet of you, making it so only that creature can hear you. Alternatively, you can amplify your voice so that all creatures within 600 feet can hear you. Do I have to say how shitty this is? Like what the fuck is the point? Like, if you're already, okay, because you're a monk, your highest stats are probably going to be your dex and your wisdom, and then probably your constitution. So why the fuck are they giving us anything in terms of our charisma checks? All right, and on top of that, and this is something, and this is a point I should have started off with this. The problem with this whole subclass is that they're trying to make a monk that focuses on the wisdom stat, but but your dex still is going to be the primary thing that, you know, most of your ability scores are, you know, that your skills are going to come from. You know, do you mean to tell me that you're going to give up dexterity completely? Okay, best of luck, you know, doing the deflect missiles, you know, best of luck doing any of the you know, stealth, sleight of hand, acrobatics, you know, good luck with that. Enjoy that, like, 12 AC. They took a monk that, you know, they took a class like the monk that's already kind of questionably bad, and now they're trying to make it focus on a stat that doesn't help it with so many of its things, and it doesn't compensate for that in any way. Nowhere does it say here that, oh yeah, you know, when you're in your Way of Astral Self, your AC increases. Because we, Wizards of the Coast, know that by going this, you know, this route, you are probably going to have a lesser lesser AC than some of the basic monks would. All of this is just, it's so conflicting with what a monk needs in order to be good. Alright, 11th level, Body of Astral Self. When you have both your astral arms and visage summoned, you can cause the body of your astral self to appear. Alright, I don't even have to fucking go one more goddamn step to let you know how shitty this is, right? When you have both your astral arms and visage summoned. This means this ability can only be used, whatever the fuck we're about to talk about, it only activates if you have already spent 2 of your key points. You're 11th level. That means you're already down to 9. That means that if you have any hope of using Flurry of Blows or, Stunning Strike or anything else, you are you have to keep in mind that this is literally a tax. This is a 2 key point tax just to use this ability. It's fucking awful. The spectral body covers your physical form like a suit of armor, connecting with the arms of his. I almost get if you've ever seen the anime Naruto, this almost gives me like Susanoo vibe. It's like they were basically like, how can we make Susanoo on a character? Here, let's do this. But then they made it so shitty that it doesn't matter. Anyway, you determine its appearance. While the spectral body is present, you gain the following benefits. Deflect energy. When you take acid, cold, fire, force, lightning, or thunder damage, you can use your reaction to deflect it. Great, there we go. I love losing my reaction to just deflect something. What does it mean to deflect it, though? When you do so, the damage you take is reduced by 1d10 plus your wisdom modifier. You're at 11th level. If I'm getting hit by a lightning spell at 11th level, how much you want to fucking bet that it's like 20 to 30, plus points of damage? The average of a D10 is 5.56. Let's say my wisdom modifier at 11th level is a 4. So that means on average, I'm going to be, by using my reaction, and after having spent 2 key points, I get to reduce that shit by 9. Really good, am I right? Anyway, empowered arms. Once on each of your turns. Once. When you hit a target with the arms of Astral Self, you can deal extra damage equal to a martial arts die. Which at 11th level, I think it's like a fucking D8. Maybe D6, but I think D8. Remember what clerics get at like fucking 8th level? Yeah. Yeah, you get it here at 11th level. You basically just get to add another weapon die to your attack after you've spent 2 key points and after you've waited to 11th level. Alright, Awakened Astral Self. At 17th level, here we go. Capstone. Let's see it. Let's judge it. Your connection to your Astral Self is complete, allowing you to unleash its full potential. Well, the rest of it's been pretty fucking shitty. What's its full potential? As a bonus action, you can spend 5 key points to summon the arms, visage, and body of your Astral Self and awaken it for 10 minutes. This awakening ends early if you are incapacitated or die. While your Astral Self is awakened, you gain the following benefits. Armor of the Spirit. You gain a +2 bonus to armor class. Oh, so we do get a little bonus to our armor, but let's look up for a second here. 17th level. Yeah, I'm sure that +2 is really going to come fucking in handy at that point. Astral Barrage. Whenever you use the extra attack feature to attack twice, you can instead attack 3 times if all the attacks are made with your astral arms. Not a horrible ability. In fact, a pretty decent ability. The problem is this. 1, this requires 5 key points. At 17th level, that means you can literally only use this 3 times. And keep in mind here, you're 17th level. I don't know about you, but at 17th level, my DMs, myself included, we go fucking hard once you've reached, tier 4 of D&D classes. Which means when you reach 15th to 20th level, like, maybe it's just me, but, usually combats at these levels, somebody is dropping to 0 in the bigger, more important combats. And usually it's 1 or 2 players. So what if you're the monk and you go out there and you get fucking smoked in the first third of the combat and you go down to 0? That means you've spent 5 key points for something that as soon as you come back to consciousness, you're going to have to spend another 5 key points just to do Body of Astral Self, Visage of Astral Self, your arms, and these bonuses. You'll use 10 of your key points just to not be shit in combat. And let's not, even mention the fact that all of these abilities are literally just combat oriented. Nothing is useful outside of combat. Yeah, this is why this is F tier. All right, Astral Self, I wanted it to be good, and when I first made this, I tried to put it in D tier I just fucking couldn't. Because the more I looked at it, the more I realized just how god-awful it was. Alright, Way of the Four Elements. There is way too many words. I tried at first to lower and to minimize and to condense, and just none of it could work out. So, long story short, the Way of the Four Elements is a monk that is pretending to be a caster, and it is failing horribly. If you want to play a caster, go play a caster. And if you don't want to be a caster, play literally any other subclass than this one. An Eldritch Knight is better than this dog shit. I forget how much it is off the top of my head, but I had a friend. I ran an Orcus campaign, which just means that I ran a campaign in which the players knew that at the end Orcus was waiting for them. And he wanted to play Way of the Four Elements, because he was basically, in his mind, he wanted to create an avatar, Aang, Avatar the Last Airbender kind of character. And I love the concept. But when he looked into it, he said, hey, I'm looking into this, and it's just, I think it sucks. Like, the Way of the Four Elements, it sucks a lot. But I have found that apparently this subclass sucks so bad that there are people online that have already, revamped it, remade it, and have made it better. And he said, hey, I found the revised version. Can I play that? And I said, absolutely. After reading this class at its vanilla form, I said, absolutely. This is dog shit. Absolutely, you sure can. So we used the revised version. Even the revised Way of Four Elements sucked. Even the revised, the better, the homebrew made Way of Four Elements could not compete with the other characters. There was just no fucking way. This is a monk that is trying to cast spells, but the cost of using these spells, some of the numbers, I think it's Fireball, Cone of Cold, use 6 of your fucking key points. So it's you want to use Cone of Cold? Okay, you're going to be able to cast it once. And then after that, every time you think of using it, you're going to be like, damn, that's 6 Flurry of Blows. No way am I using that. So just avoid this subclass like it's the plague, because it is. In monk talk, Way of the Four Elements, it is the fucking plague. Alright, D tier. This is another one of those subclasses that I really wanted to love. I really wanted to enjoy, and I thought that maybe I could, but I just couldn't. Alright, the Way of the Ascendant Dragon. 3rd level, you get Draconic Disciple. You can channel Draconic power to magnify your presence, and imbue your unarmed strikes with the essence of Dragon's Breath. You gain the following benefits. First, Draconic Presence. If you fail a Charisma, Intimidation, or Persuasion check, you can use your reaction to reroll the check as you tap into the Mighty Dragon's presence. However, once this feature turns a failure into a success, you must finish a long rest to do it. So basically, you get a single lucky feat die, but only in Intimidation and Persuasion. That's it. The second thing you get from this ability is Draconic Strike. When you damage a target with an unarmed strike, you can change the damage type to Acid, Fire, Cold, Lightning, or Poison. Which is nice if you're fighting something that is vulnerable to damage. Not bad. And then Tongue of Dragons. You learn to speak, read, and write Draconic, or any other language, or one other language of your choice. The little turn a fail into a success, maybe a free advantage roll, basically on Intimidation or Persuasion. Very situational. Once a day. Draconic Strike, being able to change something into damage, again, situational. Not bad. Very situational. And then Tongue of Dragons, fucking, you mean to tell me that you ain't got a Dragonborn in your party? or you mean to tell me you're playing in a campaign where it was life or death that someone did or did not have Draconic as a language? Nah, I don't think so. Alright, also at 3rd level, you get Breath of the Dragon. You can channel destructive waves of energy, like those created by the dragons you emulate. When you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of the attacks with an exhalation. I know what it's trying to say, but for the life of me, my brain is just not able to comprehend. Of draconic energy, a breath of draconic energy. There you fucking go. In either a 20-foot cone or a 30-foot line, 5 feet wide. Choose a damage type from your basic elements. Each creature in that area that you choose must make a dexterity saving throw against your key save, so your wisdom saving throw. Taking damage of the chosen type equal to 2 rolls of your martial arts die on a fail or half as much on a success. At 11th level, the damage of this feature increases to 3 rolls. You can use this feature a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all of them on a long rest. While you have no uses, you can spend 2 key points to use this feature again. Here's why this ability is worse than you think it is. You think it sounds nice. You think it gives your monk a form of AoE, and it does. The problem is a 20-foot cone is not as big as you think it is, and a 30-foot line, 5 feet wide, is not as big of an area as you think it is. In total, I bet you will on average hit 2, maybe 3 enemies with it, but I doubt it. I bet you're going to be hitting 2 most of the time. Secondly, your martial arts die. The monk's martial arts die is one of the worst scaling dice in D&D. It has horrible scaling. I think it probably stems from the fact that it starts at a D4, whereas most other classes, whenever it has dice that scale as time goes on, the D6 turns to a D8, to a D10, to a D12, etc., etc., most other classes always start bare bones D6. Because this starts at a D4, you do not get to, dice that actually, make differences after as soon as enemies start to get 30 to 40 hit points on average on them, your hit die, your martial arts die is not fucking doing anything. And you can argue that, oh, well, it's 2 of them. Yeah, you're right. You know what the average of 2 D4 is? 4. Do you know the average of 2 D6 is? 6. You see where this is going, right? It looks cool, but as soon as you put it in the context of when you get it and when you would use it and how, what a martial arts die actually ends up being for most of your monk's time, you realize just how it very quickly deteriorates. All right, 6th level, Wings Unfurled. When you use your Step of the Wind, you can unfurl spectral draconic wings on your back that vanish at the end of your turn. While the wings exist, you have a flying speed equal to your walking speed. I have always interpreted that whenever they say equal to your walking speed, that means you cannot dash with them. But I know the DM's, that's a DM discretion. I've always found it kind of weird whenever it says equal to your walking speed. Why is it walking speed and not movement speed? But anyway, it doesn't matter, right? You can use this feature a number of times equal to a proficiency bonus, which is nice. It gives us, the ability for it to scale actually decently well. And you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. This isn't horrible. This is pretty decent. The only problem is, and again, this comes down to, if let's say I use Step of the Wind, which basically just means I get to take the dash action as a bonus action. As long as my DM rules it that walking speed equals movement speed, so that means that if I take action, if a bonus action, I Step of the Wind, get my wings out, I get to then use my action and bonus action Step of the Wind to then fly 60 feet, then we're okay, we're not, that's something I can work with. But if you have a DM that rules that, no, this says walking speed, you fly 30 feet or 40 feet. Monks have movement increases. Whatever it is at this time, at 6th level. As long as if they rule it that nope, whatever it is on your walking speed, that's as far as you can fly, this ability becomes much worse very quickly. All right, 11th level, Aspect of the Worm. I've never understood why they used to call dragons worms. I think they're like specific kinds of dragons. Anyway, at 11th level, the power of your draconic spirit now radiates from you, warding your allies or inspiring fear in your enemies. As a bonus action, you can create an aurora of draconic power that radiates 10 feet from you for 1 minute. For the duration, you gain one of the following effects of your choice. Either a frightful presence, you create an aurora as a bonus action. You can choose a creature within that aurora. They must make a wisdom saving throw against your wisdom saving throw, against your wisdom save DC. Or they become frightened of you for 1 minute. They then get to repeat this saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on a success. Or you can choose resistance. You choose a type of damage from acid, cold, fire, lightning, or poison, and you and your allies within this aurora have resistance to that type of damage. Once you create this aurora, you can't create it again until you finish a long rest, or expend 3 key points to do so. This is solid. This is a good ability. Alright, I have very little to bitch about this ability. I like that it's a bonus action. I will say that a monk is not a class that is seeking bonus action activities. You know, they got plenty of choices for bonus action, so it does kind of suck that this would stop, you know, a flurry of blows attack or a step of the wind, effect or something like that. But I will say I don't hate it. All right, I like this ability. It's a solid ability, and 11th level that is early enough that you can use it well, I think. All right, 17th level. We have our capstone. What does our capstone do? Well, you gain the following benefits. 1, you have the augment breath. When you use your breath of the dragon attack, you can spend 1 more key point to augment its shape and power. The exhalation of the draconic, which just makes it the fucking breath weapon, becomes either a 60-foot cone or a 90-foot line. So basically, you spend a key point and you double it. You double whatever your Breath of the Dragon's area was. And each creature in that area takes damage equal to 4 rolls of your martial arts die on the failed save, or half as much on a success. Blindness sight. You gain blind sight out to 10 feet. Within that range, you can effectively see anything that isn't behind total cover, even if you are blinded or in darkness. Moreover, you can see an invisible creature within the range, unless that creature successfully hides from you. Explosive Fury. When you activate your aspect of the worm, Draconic Fury explodes from you. Choose any number of creatures you can see in your aurora. Each of those creatures must succeed on a dexterity saving throw against your key save DC, or take 3 d10 acid, fire, cold, lightning, or poison damage of your choice. It's good that they took something and tried to make it better. The problem is, again, 1, they're relying on you to use key points to do something that you're already kind of, short on key points for. Secondly, 4 rolls of your martial arts die on 17th level. I'm pretty sure you use d10s or d12s at this point. So, 4d10 to 4d12, isn't bad, right? That's decent. But the blind sight, unless you're playing in a very specific campaign, I don't know when the fuck you would use that, or when that would actually come in to save your ass. And as for Explosive Fury, that only happens once when you activate Aspect of the Worm, which means if you don't activate Aspect of the Worm, this ability, it's only once. So this 3d10, damage of one of these types of damage types, this is only going to happen once. Like, probably once a combat, if that. So, no, it's cool. I wanted this to work so bad. I loved the theme when I very first read this in Fizbane's Dragon, whatever. I thought, this is going to be cool. I love this idea. Maybe they're finally going to make the monk something really, really cool to compete against the monks that you will see in my A and S tier. And then just the more I read, the more and more disappointed I got. No, just so many of their abilities are either expensive or so situational, or just make you realize that just what they offer you is something so small and trivial that it's like, yeah, I could either do 2d6 points of damage on 2 enemies, or I could hit them, maybe stun them if I use my stunning strike, or use flurry of blows and hit them like 4 times and do more damage than what this ability does. Yeah. This is why this is in D tier. Great theme, bad execution. All right, my C tier. All right, we're getting into the better stuff, right? We have the Way of the Sun Soul. All right, at 3rd level, we have Radiant Sun Bolt. Starting when you choose the tradition at 3rd level, you can hurl sealing bolts of magical radiance. You gain a new attack option that you can use with the attack action. This special attack is a ranged spell attack with a range of 30 feet. You are proficient with it, and you can add your dexterity modifier to its attack and damage rolls. Its damage is radiant, and its damage die is a d4. This die changes as you gain monk levels, as shown in the martial arts column, so basically it just uses your fucking martial arts die. When you take the attack action on your turn and use the special attack as part of it, you can spend 1 key point to make the special attack twice as a bonus action. When you gain the extra attack feature, this special attack can also be used to use multiple times in that same attack action. So basically, you get a range spell attack. All right, that's it. All right, you get a 30-foot range spell attack that uses your martial arts die. That's it. All right, 6th level, Searing Arc Strike. You gain the ability to channel your ki into searing waves of energy. Immediately after you take the attack action on your turn, you can spend 2 key points to cast the Burning Hand spell as a bonus action. You can spend additional key points to cast Burning Hands as a higher level. Each additional key point you spend increases the spell levels by 1 to a maximum of 2 plus any additional points that you spend on the spells equal half to your monk level, which basically is just capping how big it can be. Remember how I told you the problem with the Way of the 4 elements was bad because it tried to make a monk be able to use spell casting, but then it turns out that it just made things too expensive with its key points. Yeah, this is like the little brother that was like, I'm gonna be better than that, and so it tried to like make them a little bit cheaper, but it's 6th level. What the fuck do you think you're gonna do with Burning Hands? Like it's like 2d6, 3d6, 10-foot cone at 6th level for 2 key points. That's a third of your key points to do Burning Hands at 6th level. Nah. Nope. Awful. Alright, Searing Sunburst. At 11th level, you gain the ability to create an orb of light that erupts into a devastating explosion. As an action, you magically create an orb and hurl it at a point you choose within 150 feet, where it erupts into a sphere of radiant light. Sounds really cool, right? Sounds like you're about to get Fireball, right? Each creature in that 20-foot radius sphere must make a con save or take 2d6 radiant damage. A creature that doesn't make the save doesn't need to make the save if it is behind total cover. You can increase this damage, though, by spending key points to a maximum of 3, which increases the damage by 2d6 for every one of them. So basically, if you spend 3 key points and this ability, then as an action, instead of being able to hit some dude like 3 times, you can instead cast a really shitty fireball. Because it's a con save, and most monstrosities and a lot of monsters in the Monsters Manual, they have proficiency in con saves. Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're looking for a monk with range, it could be worse, but I hope you see the problems here. Alright, finally we have Sunshield. At 17th level, you become wreathed in luminous magical aurora. You shed bright light in 30-foot radius and dim light for an additional 30. You can extinguish or restore light as a bonus action. And if a creature hits you with a melee attack while this light shines, you can use your reaction to deal radiant damage to the creature. The radiant damage equals 5 plus your wisdom modifier. I bet you your wisdom modifier is a 3 right now. So that means you're giving up your reaction to do 8 points of damage. That's all this is. This is literally, you shine like a torch in the night, and as a reaction, you get to use 8 of your, you get to do 8 points of damage. Does it sound awful to you? Sounds awful to me. This class, it was borderline D, C tier. However, what cinched it for me is that at least it made our abilities cheap, all right, in the form of its Searing Arc Strike. I like that it gave us, a ranged attack of some kind. I like that there's at least some scaling, despite the fact that the Monk's martial arts die is one of the worst fucking scaling there is. I like what they tried to do, and I think that if you picked this class, I think that you could have enough fun with it that I felt bad putting it into D tier, but it sure as fuck ain't in the B tier. So, safely tucked away in C tier is Way of the Sun Soul. Alright. With that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here and end part 1 of our Monk tier list. Come on back and listen in. Next video will be part 2 as we look at the B's and A's and, of course, the S tier of our Monk tier list. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope that, maybe perhaps you learned something in this video, but whatever the case, I will hopefully catch you next time.